The crash. In the vast expanse of space, the advanced Tellarite starship, the Celestia, glided gracefully through the stars. On board, Queen Andromeda, a dignified figure with shimmering feathers, prepared for a diplomatic mission to Epsilon Eridani. Her crew buzzed with excitement, but beneath their joy lay the weight of responsibility. This mission was crucial for strengthening ties with Earth, a young and developing planet. Suddenly, alarms blared. The ship shuddered violently, throwing crew members against the walls. "What's happening?" Andromeda shouted, gripping her chair. The pilot, a seasoned Tellarite named Tarek, struggled with the controls, his eyes wide with fear. "We're losing power. An engine failure," Tarek gasped. The ship spiraled out of control, lights flickering as panic erupted among the crew. The once stable vessel now became a fiery descent towards an uncharted planet known as E42. As the Celestia crashed, Andromeda's last thoughts were of her home world, T Prime. The ship broke apart, flames consuming it. She was thrown from her seat, darkness enveloping her. On E42, a small human settlement thrived, oblivious to the chaos in the skies. Austin Dixon, the community leader, looked up as a streak of fire shot across the sky. His heart raced. "Everyone, look," he exclaimed, pointing. A loud crash echoed, shaking the ground beneath them. The humans rushed toward the source, concern etched on their faces. They found the wreckage of the Celestia, smoke billowing into the sky. Dixon led a team of volunteers, quickly organizing a rescue mission. "We need to help them," he declared, determination in his voice. Despite their limited resources, they gathered equipment, ready to confront whatever dangers awaited them. Inside the wreckage, Andromeda slowly regained consciousness. Dazed, she pushed debris aside and took a breath. The air was thick with smoke, but she could hear voices outside. Hope flickered within her. Perhaps help had arrived. As she crawled out, she saw silhouettes against the flames. Humans. Panic washed over her, but she quickly reminded herself that they were not her enemies. Just as she began to stand, a human figure rushed forward. "Stay down," Austin shouted, his eyes wide with urgency. He shielded her with his body, assessing her injuries. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently, his voice filled with concern. Andromeda blinked in disbelief. This primitive creature, so different from her kind, was risking his life for her. I am fine," she stammered, still trying to process the situation. Austin motioned to his team. "Get her out of here. We need to move." They worked together, lifting debris and carefully extracting her from the wreckage. As they emerged, the sight of the destroyed ship sank deep into her heart. While the humans continued their rescue efforts, Andromeda noticed something strange. They were not just saving her, they were tending to her crew as well. Their primitive machines moved with surprising efficiency, and their medics worked tirelessly, showing skill and compassion. On the Tellarite homeworld, King Orion watched the live feed from his control room, his expression shifting from rage to disbelief. He clenched his fists, his claws digging into the console as he processed the sight of his queen being rescued by humans. "What is this madness?" he roared, his voice echoing through the chamber. Draco, a high-ranking diplomat, stood beside him, unable to contain his shock. "This can't be happening," he muttered. "The Celestia was our most advanced ship. This must be sabotage." Zephyr, another diplomat, shook his head. "But how could humans have orchestrated such a thing? They are not capable of such complexity." "Perhaps they sought to capture Andromeda," Orion growled, his voice low and dangerous. "What better way to gain leverage over the Tellarites than to take our queen hostage?" Draco frowned, skeptical of Orion's conclusions. "But look at them. They are helping. They seem genuinely concerned for her safety." Meanwhile, Austin helped Andromeda into a makeshift medical tent. The human medic, a woman named Sarah, began examining her injuries. "You're lucky," Sarah said, a warm smile on her face. Just a few cuts and bruises. You'll be fine." Andromeda's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly, realizing the depth of their kindness. These humans, with their limited technology, were treating her with respect and dignity. Outside, chaos reigned as more Tellarate crew members were brought to safety. Andromeda watched in amazement. The humans were organizing everything, their teamwork seamless. It was a sight she had never expected to see from a species so new to space travel. As the last crew member was rescued, Austin gathered everyone around. "We did it," he exclaimed, his eyes shining with pride. "We saved them." Andromeda felt a bond forming between her and these people. They had risked their lives without knowing if she was an ally or enemy. Their bravery and compassion were unlike anything she had ever encountered. Back on T-Prime, Orion seethed. "This is a disaster," he said, pacing. "How can I trust these humans? They could be deceiving us." Draco interjected, "But, my king, perhaps we should reconsider. They have shown an admirable spirit. They could be valuable allies." The king stopped, his thoughts racing. A friendship with humans. The mere idea filled him with anger and confusion. And yet, the evidence of their bravery played in his mind. As days passed, Andromeda and Austin began to form a friendship. They shared stories of their worlds, cultures, and challenges. Andromeda found herself fascinated by Austin's tales of Earth's history, its struggles for unity and peace. "You've overcome so much," she said, her eyes reflecting admiration. "Your resilience is commendable." Austin smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "We've had our challenges, but we always find a way to push through. And you? How do your people face adversity?" Andromeda explained the pressures of leadership, the isolationist factions threatening her efforts for peace. Austin listened intently, offering support and understanding. In the back of his mind, Orion was grappling with the implications of these events. The more he observed, the more he realized that these humans were not just primitives. They were resourceful, intelligent, and surprisingly compassionate. As Andromeda prepared to return to T-Prime, she felt a sense of reluctance. The humans had shown her what it meant to be courageous and kind. "I hope we can meet again," she said, her voice soft. Austin nodded, determination in his eyes. "We will, and we will continue to build a bridge between our worlds." The connection between their species had only just begun, and both knew that the journey ahead would shape the future of their galaxies. The aftermath of the rescue. As the dust settled around the wreckage of the Celestia, Queen Andromeda found herself in a world vastly different from her own. The humans had transformed their settlement on E42 into a hub of activity, with medics tending to the injured Tellarites and engineers working tirelessly to salvage parts from the downed ship. The once alien landscape felt warm and inviting, and for the first time, Andromeda felt a sense of safety among these so-called primitives. Austin Dixon, the human leader who had orchestrated the rescue, approached her with a gentle smile. "How are you feeling, Your Majesty?" he asked, his voice steady and reassuring. The Queen, still shaken but grateful, responded, "I owe you my life, Austin. Your people acted with bravery and kindness." Dixon nodded, acknowledging her gratitude. "We couldn't just stand by while you were in danger. It's what anyone would do." Andromeda marveled at his humility. This human, with his unassuming nature, was not what she had expected from a species considered primitive by her people. Days passed, and the Celestia was slowly repaired with the help of the humans. Every day, Andromeda spent time with Austin and his team, learning about their technology and culture. They shared stories, and the Queen found herself fascinated by the resilience of humanity, their struggles, and how they had come together to achieve peace on Earth after centuries of conflict. One evening, as the sun set over E42, casting a golden glow over the settlement, Andromeda and Dixon sat on a grassy knoll overlooking the worksite. "You have a remarkable way of looking at the world," Andromeda said, breaking the silence. "Your people have faced destruction, yet here you are, building and creating. Austin smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. We've learned the hard way that unity is our strength. It's what keeps us moving forward. The Queen pondered his words, recognizing a profound truth in them. Her own world was rife with division and conflict. Perhaps there was something to learn from this young species. Meanwhile, back on the Tellarite homeworld, King Orion seethed with anger and confusion. His advisors gathered around him, concerned about the implications of Andromeda's rescue. "Your Majesty, the humans have saved our people. Perhaps this is an opportunity," one diplomat suggested cautiously. Orion's claws dug into the table, his frustration palpable. Opportunity? To what end? They are primitives. They cannot be trusted. Yet, deep down, he knew the narrative was changing. The humans had shown unexpected ingenuity and compassion. He couldn't ignore it, no matter how much he wanted to. As Andromeda continued to heal and adapt, her friendship with Austin blossomed. They shared meals prepared by the best human chefs, a blend of Earth ingredients and Tellarite nutritional supplements. Each dish was a small cultural exchange, a gesture of goodwill. The Queen's favorite became a stew made with hearty root vegetables from Earth, perfectly seasoned to match her own dietary needs. One afternoon, as they prepared for a cultural exchange event, Andromeda found herself nervous. "What if they do not accept me? I am an alien to them," she expressed, her voice laced with doubt. Austin took her hand, his grip firm and reassuring. "You are more than just a queen. You are a symbol of our potential cooperation. Trust in your own strength and the goodwill of the people here." The cultural event brought together humans and Tellarites in a celebration of their respective heritages. The atmosphere was lively, filled with music, laughter, and the aroma of diverse foods. Andromeda marveled at how easily the humans welcomed her people, showcasing their crafts and stories. As the festivities continued, Andromeda stepped onto a makeshift stage, her heart racing. "Thank you all for this warm welcome," she began, her voice steadying as she spoke. "Your kindness has shown me that even in our differences, we can find unity. I am honored to be here with you." The crowd erupted in applause, and for the first time, Andromeda felt a true connection to these beings. They were not the primitive species she had been led to believe. They were full of life and passion, just like her people. In the days that followed, tensions back home began to surface. Orion, watching the cultural exchange unfold through a live feed, clenched his teeth. "This is unacceptable," he growled. "How can we allow our queen to mingle with these creatures?" His advisors exchanged nervous glances. "Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider a diplomatic approach. The humans have saved our people, and Andromeda seems to be fostering goodwill." "Goodwill?" Orion scoffed. "It is a trap. They will use her to gain access to our technology and territory." But deep down, he felt the weight of Andromeda's growing bond with the humans. They were becoming more than mere allies. They were beginning to blur the lines between enemy and friend. Back on E42, Andromeda and Austin continued their discussions about politics and culture. One night, they sat under a canopy of stars, the galaxy twinkling above them. "What if we could create a bridge between our worlds?" Andromeda mused, her eyes shining with hope. "What if we could show both our peoples that cooperation is possible?" Austin smiled, his enthusiasm evident. "We can start by showing the Tellarites that humans are not to be underestimated. Perhaps we could arrange a formal meeting between our leaders." Andromeda's heart raced at the thought. Yes, if we can present ourselves as allies, it might pave the way for a new understanding. The two began to sketch out plans for a summit, hopeful that it would change the course of their worlds forever. As they worked late into the night, sharing ideas and laughter, a newfound energy filled the air. For the first time, both Andromeda and Austin felt like they were not just building a friendship, but a foundation for a future where their species could thrive together. Meanwhile, Orion's anger simmered as he contemplated the implications of this budding alliance. He had to act swiftly before the humans gained an unassailable foothold in Tellarite affairs. But how could he confront the reality that his queen was forging a bond with the very species he deemed inferior? Days turned into weeks, and the anticipation for the summit grew. Andromeda and Austin poured their hearts into the preparations, eager to make a case for peace and cooperation. They knew the stakes were high. Failure could plunge both their worlds into chaos. As the day of the summit approached, tensions rose. Would Orion accept this new reality, or would he be driven by fear and paranoia? The fate of both species hung in the balance, and the world watched closely as two leaders prepared to stand at the crossroads of their destinies. Andromeda took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her responsibilities. She glanced at Austin, who smiled back with unwavering support. "We will make them see," he said confidently. Together. As the sun rose on the day of the summit, a new chapter awaited them all. Would they grasp the chance for peace, or would old wounds drive them apart? Only time would tell, but hope shone bright in the hearts of those willing to reach for it. The summit of destiny. The day of the summit dawned with an air of both excitement and tension. Andromeda and Austin stood together in the central hall of the human settlement, a vast space adorned with banners representing both Earth and Tellar. The scent of fresh flowers mingled with the crisp air, creating an atmosphere that felt both festive and serious. Andromeda wore a ceremonial dress that blended Tellarite elegance with human practicality. The fabric shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting her royal status while also symbolizing her willingness to embrace the new. Austin, in a smart military uniform, looked every bit the confident leader ready to bridge the gap between their worlds. As the hour approached, Andromeda's heart raced. She could sense the apprehension in the air, the weight of expectations heavy on her shoulders. "What if they don't accept us?" she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. Austin placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Remember why we're here. We're offering a new path, one that can change everything. Trust in what we've built together." The moment arrived as representatives from both species gathered in the hall. The Tellarites, led by King Orion, entered with an air of skepticism. Their armored forms were imposing, and their eyes scanned the room as if searching for hidden threats. Andromeda took a deep breath, reminding herself that this was a step toward unity. "Welcome, esteemed representatives of the Tellarite Council," Austin began, his voice steady and authoritative. "Today marks an important chapter in our shared history. We stand here not as enemies, but as allies in pursuit of a brighter future." Orion's gaze was cold and calculating. "What makes you think we should trust these humans? They are known for their wars and conflicts. What guarantees do we have that they will honor our alliance?" Andromeda stepped forward, her voice clear and firm. "Your Majesty, I have seen the goodness in humanity. They saved my life and the lives of many Tellarites. We must not judge a species by their past, but by their actions in the present. This summit is a testament to that." The room fell silent, the weight of her words lingering in the air. Orion's eyes narrowed, his expression unreadable. "And what is it that you propose?" he demanded, unwilling to show any sign of vulnerability. Austin took a deep breath, sensing the moment of truth had arrived. "We propose a mutual defense pact and a cultural exchange program. This way, we can learn from one another, sharing knowledge and resources. Together, we can ensure that both our worlds flourish." Whispers spread through the Tellarite delegation, some intrigued, while others remained skeptical. Orion's face showed little emotion, but inside, he wrestled with the idea of accepting help from a species he had long underestimated. "And how do we know your people will not exploit our technology?" Andromeda leaned in, her gaze steady. "Because this is not just about technology, it's about survival. Our worlds face threats far greater than our differences. Together, we can defend ourselves against those who would seek to harm us." As the discussions continued, both sides presented their views. Andromeda and Austin shared tales of human resilience and creativity, showcasing how they had transformed their own world from chaos to cooperation. They illustrated their advancements in technology, medicine, and agriculture, how each breakthrough had been fueled by collaboration. Orion listened, his skepticism slowly being chipped away by the passion in Andromeda's voice. Yet, his advisors murmured doubts, reminding him of the countless stories of betrayal from the stars. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the hall, Austin offered a proposal that shocked everyone. What if we conduct a joint mission? We could work together to face a common threat. Perhaps a scouting mission to the outer regions where tensions have flared. It would be a practical demonstration of our alliance. Orion's interest piqued. You suggest we risk our forces on a mere demonstration. Not merely a demonstration, but an opportunity to prove our commitment to one another, Andromeda interjected. If we can face a challenge together, it will solidify our alliance in ways mere words cannot. The Tellurite king paused, weighing the risks and potential rewards. Finally, he spoke. Very well. I will agree to this joint mission, but know this: failure will not be tolerated. Should you betray our trust, the consequences will be dire. Cheers erupted from the human delegation, but Andromeda remained focused. We will succeed, Your Majesty. We will show both our peoples that together we are stronger than apart. With the terms of the alliance established, the atmosphere in the hall shifted from skepticism to cautious optimism. A sense of unity began to bloom, igniting hope in the hearts of those present. In the days that followed, preparations for the joint mission commenced. Humans and Tellurites worked side by side, sharing expertise and resources. The feeling of camaraderie grew, and bonds began to form as they collaborated on strategies and technologies. Andromeda found herself increasingly drawn to Austin. They shared late-night discussions under the stars, mapping out their plan and dreaming of the future. Their laughter echoed against the backdrop of a world where anything seemed possible. One evening, as they were reviewing their equipment, Austin turned to her with a serious expression. You know, if this mission succeeds, it could change everything for both our species, but it will also put you in danger. Are you ready for that? Andromeda met his gaze, determination etched on her face. I am ready to face any danger for the sake of peace. I will not let fear dictate my actions. As the mission date approached, tension filled the air. Both species were anxious, knowing that their newfound alliance would be put to the ultimate test. The morning of departure arrived, and the team gathered at the launch site, a mix of human ships and Tellurite vessels ready for the mission. Andromeda stood at the forefront, her heart pounding. She glanced at Austin, who offered a reassuring smile. We're in this together, he reminded her. The fleet launched into the vastness of space, each ship filled with the hopes of two worlds. Andromeda and Austin shared the command of the flagship, a sleek vessel that combined both human and Tellurite technology. As they traveled deeper into uncharted territories, Andromeda marveled at the beauty of the cosmos. Stars twinkled like diamonds, and the vastness filled her with both awe and trepidation. Yet, as they navigated, the reality of their mission began to set in. The first few days were uneventful, allowing the team to grow accustomed to one another's ways. But as they approached a region where reports of alien activity had surfaced, tension surged. Scanners picked up unusual energy readings, and the mood shifted from cautious optimism to alert readiness. Prepare for potential contact, Austin ordered, his voice steady. The crew sprang into action, checking weapon systems and calibrating their shields. Andromeda felt a sense of purpose wash over her. They were about to face a real challenge. As they drew closer to the source of the energy readings, a massive ship emerged from the shadows, a warship of an unfamiliar design, bristling with weapons and menacing in its presence. What is that? Andromeda gasped, eyes widening. An armed vessel, possibly hostile, Austin replied, gripping the controls. We need to determine their intentions before we engage. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship as the alien vessel initiated a targeting lock. They're preparing to fire. A crew member shouted, panic rising. Austin's instincts kicked in. Evasive maneuvers. All weapons ready. The flagship surged forward, dodging incoming fire as Andromeda worked alongside him, coordinating their defenses. The battle that followed was fierce and chaotic. The alien ship unleashed a barrage of weaponry, but the combined human and Tellarite forces held their ground. Andromeda and Austin fought side by side, each trusting the other's instincts. With each exchange of fire, that bond deepened. They moved seamlessly, anticipating each other's actions. The energy in the air was palpable, a mixture of fear, adrenaline, and hope. Now, Austin shouted, and Andromeda activated their most powerful weapon, a combined energy blast that surged from both ships. The result was stunning. The beam struck the alien vessel, causing it to stagger. But the enemy was not finished. It retaliated with renewed fury, forcing the crew to respond quickly. "We need to disable their weapons," Andromeda suggested, her mind racing. "If we can take out their targeting systems, we'll have the advantage." Austin nodded, his eyes locked on the redouts. "I'll maneuver us close. Get ready to fire on my mark." As they closed the distance, tension built to a breaking point. The alien ship fired again, but this time Andromeda and Austin were ready. "Now," he called, and their combined blast struck true, disabling the enemy's weapon systems. With their defenses weakened, the alien vessel began to retreat, but Andromeda felt a surge of compassion. "We can't let them escape unchallenged. We need to show them we won't be intimidated." "Are you sure?" Austin asked, surprise evident in his voice. "Yes," she insisted. "We need to prove we are stronger together." With renewed determination, they launched a final attack that disabled the enemy ship's propulsion systems. As it drifted helplessly in space, Andromeda felt a mix of triumph and sorrow. They had won, but at what cost? The crew cheered as they assessed the situation. "We did it," a Tellarite officer shouted, and Austin turned to Andromeda, a proud smile on his face. But before they could celebrate, a transmission came through from the alien vessel. A shaky voice filled the communication channel. "We mean no harm. We were only protecting our territory." Andromeda's heart raced. "We need to hear them out," she urged. "This could be the beginning of another alliance." Austin looked at her, understanding the weight of her words. "All right, let's hear what they have to say." They opened a channel, and the alien captain, a figure cloaked in shadows, appeared on the screen. "We did not know your intentions. Our people have suffered from threats in this region. We mistook you for another hostile faction." Andromeda took a deep breath, her voice steady. "We are not your enemy. We seek to build a coalition against the real threats in this galaxy. Let us work together." The alien captain hesitated, glancing at his crew. "You offer peace after battle. This is unusual." "Unusual, but necessary," Austin interjected. "We have a chance to create something greater than ourselves. Join us." After a long pause, the captain nodded slowly. "Very well. We will discuss terms, but know this, trust must be earned." The mood in the command room shifted. This was a pivotal moment. Andromeda and Austin exchanged glances, hope shining in their eyes. They had not only defended their alliance, but had opened the door for something even more profound. The mission concluded with an agreement for a meeting between their peoples, marking the start of a new relationship. As they returned to E42, the atmosphere was electric. Andromeda and Austin were hailed as heroes, not just for their bravery in battle, but for their vision of peace. In the following weeks, the cultural exchange blossomed. The Tellarites and humans shared knowledge, art, and technology, breaking down barriers that had long divided them. Trust grew as they learned to appreciate their differences and embrace their shared goals. Andromeda felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she watched her people engage with humanity. The fear and doubt that had once clouded her mind began to lift, replaced by a burgeoning belief in the potential of their alliance. But King Orion remained cautious. In private meetings, he often expressed his reservations. "This alliance with the humans is fraught with danger. We cannot afford to be lulled into complacency. Andromeda listened, her resolve unwavering. We cannot let fear dictate our actions, Father. We have the chance to create a better future, one where our worlds can thrive together. Orion remained skeptical, but even he could not deny the progress being made. As he watched the interactions between humans and Tellarites, he began to understand that perhaps there was more to humanity than he had initially believed. One evening, as Andromeda and Austin strolled through the gardens of the settlement, their laughter mingling with the sounds of nature, Andromeda felt a profound sense of hope. "Look at what we've built," she said, gesturing to the vibrant atmosphere around them. "This is just the beginning." Austin smiled, taking her hand. "Together, we can achieve anything." As they gazed up at the stars, the possibilities felt endless. They had faced their fears and forged an alliance that would shape the future. Together, they would continue to overcome obstacles, inspiring both their peoples to embrace a new era of cooperation and understanding. But shadows still lingered on the horizon. Unknown to them, forces opposed to their alliance were already plotting, determined to exploit the vulnerabilities they had yet to uncover. The battle for the future was far from over, and challenges awaited them just beyond the stars. And so, as the night deepened and the stars shone brightly overhead, Andromeda and Austin stood united, ready to face whatever lay ahead, together. Shadows of dissent. As the weeks turned into months, the alliance between humans and Tellarites flourished. Andromeda and Austin became symbols of hope, their shared vision inspiring both peoples to embrace collaboration. Cultural exchanges transformed into joint projects, with scientists from both worlds working side by side, sharing discoveries that enriched their societies. But beneath the surface, not everyone was pleased with this new alliance. Dissent brewed among factions that thrived on conflict and division. Whispers of discontent began to circulate within the Tellarite Council. Some of Orion's advisors argued that the humans were merely using their alliance to gain an advantage, sowing seeds of doubt in the king's mind. In secret meetings, Orion's most loyal advisors urged him to sever ties with the humans. "They are unpredictable," one advisor warned. "We cannot risk our future on a fragile alliance." Orion wrestled with the pressure. He understood the benefits of the alliance, but he couldn't shake the feeling that their trust was built on shaky ground. One night, he called a private meeting with Andromeda, hoping to discuss his concerns. Andromeda arrived at the council chamber, her expression confident yet cautious. "You wanted to speak with me, Father," she asked, sensing the tension in the room. "Sit," Orion commanded, his tone serious. "We must talk about the humans. I am hearing troubling things from my advisors." Andromeda's heart sank. "What kind of things?" "Claims that they are exploiting our resources, that they will turn on us when it suits them," Orion replied, his brow furrowed. "You must understand, I worry for our people. I cannot trust so easily." Andromeda took a deep breath, striving to maintain her composure. "I understand your concerns, but we have built something remarkable together. Austin and I are committed to this alliance. The benefits are already evident. We've shared knowledge that has improved our technologies and enhanced our agricultural practices. Is that enough to overlook the warnings?" Orion countered, his voice rising slightly. "What if they betray us? What if they drag us into a war?" "Father, we cannot let fear guide our decisions," Andromeda replied, determination in her eyes. "We have faced challenges together, and we have emerged stronger. I believe in our partnership." Orion studied her for a long moment, the conflict in his heart evident. "You are young, Andromeda. You see the world through hopeful eyes, but I have seen too much to trust so easily." Just then, a messenger entered the chamber, breathless and agitated. "Your Majesty, an urgent report from the outer territories." "What is it?" Orion demanded. "There have been skirmishes with an unknown alien faction. They are attacking ships and claiming territory near our border." The room fell silent, the gravity of the news weighing heavily on everyone. Andromeda felt a chill run down her spine. Who are they? She asked. We don't know yet, the messenger replied. But they seem well armed and aggressive. We must act quickly to defend our borders. Orion's expression hardened. This is the threat I feared. We cannot be caught off guard. Prepare our defenses and summon the council. As the messenger rushed to relay the orders, Andromeda felt a mix of dread and determination. Father, we need to inform Austin. We cannot face this threat alone. Orion nodded, his resolve solidifying. Very well, but I will not put our people at risk. If I sense any betrayal, the alliance will end. As they made their way to the communications room, Andromeda felt a sense of urgency. The future of their alliance, and perhaps their worlds, depended on how they faced this new threat. Meanwhile, Austin was in his command center, strategizing with his officers when the message arrived. He listened intently as Andromeda's voice filled the room, her tone urgent. Austin, we have a situation. There have been attacks near our borders. We need to work together to counter this threat. Understood. We'll mobilize our fleet and head to your location, Austin replied, a sense of gravity settling over him. We cannot allow this enemy to undermine our alliance. Let's meet and strategize, Andromeda suggested. We must show our enemies that we stand united. Hours later, the leaders of both civilizations gathered in a secure location on the Tellarite homeworld. Austin and Andromeda stood at the forefront, flanked by their advisors. The tension in the air was palpable as they reviewed the intelligence reports on the new alien faction. This enemy has already shown aggression, Austin said, studying the holographic display. We need to assess their capabilities and intentions. If they threaten us, we will respond decisively. And we must also consider our defenses, Andromeda added. We cannot risk losing what we have built together. Our people are counting on us. Orion nodded, his expression serious. We will not falter. Our fleets will be ready to defend our territories, but we must gather more intelligence on this enemy before engaging. As they strategized, the mood shifted from fear to determination. The leaders knew they had to stand together, not just for their own survival, but to demonstrate their commitment to the alliance. In the following days, joint reconnaissance missions were launched. Human and Tellarite ships patrolled the borders, gathering information on the mysterious faction. Tension grew as skirmishes erupted in the surrounding areas, escalating the situation further. During one of these missions, Andromeda and Austin boarded a human scout ship, eager to witness firsthand the capabilities of their forces. The ship was sleek and nimble, equipped with advanced technology. Andromeda felt a thrill of excitement as they soared through the stars. Let's see what we're up against, Austin said, his focus intense. They monitored the scanners, searching for any signs of the alien ships. Suddenly, the alert systems blared. Contacts on the scanners. An officer shouted, 2 enemy ships approaching. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, Austin commanded, adrenaline pumping through his veins. Andromeda gripped the controls, her heart racing as they engaged the enemy. As the battle commenced, Andromeda felt the weight of her responsibility. They maneuvered through enemy fire, their ships dancing through the stars. The sounds of combat surrounded them, but she remained focused, coordinating their tactics. Target their engines, Austin shouted, his voice filled with urgency. We need to disable them. Andromeda executed the command, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that struck the alien ships. The enemy returned fire, and their ship shook violently. But with each engagement, Andromeda and Austin's bond deepened. They moved in perfect sync, embodying the strength of their alliance. After a fierce exchange, they managed to disable one of the enemy ships, forcing it to drift helplessly in space. But the other ship was still operational, and it retaliated with a vicious attack. Reroute power to the shields, Andromeda yelled, her mind racing. We need to withstand their fire. The ship shuddered as the enemy unleashed another barrage. Austin fought to keep control, the pressure mounting. We can't take much more of this, he exclaimed. Just then, Andromeda noticed a gap in the enemy's defenses. If we strike now, we can take them out. With a shared look of determination, they launched a final offensive. Together, they unleashed a powerful energy beam that struck the alien ship directly, causing it to explode in a brilliant flash of light. The victory was bittersweet, but it sent a clear message to the enemy. The Alliance was not to be underestimated. As they returned to the Tellarite homeworld, Andromeda and Austin were met with cheers and applause. Their successful mission strengthened the resolve of both peoples, but beneath the celebration lay a lingering fear of the unknown. That evening, as they debriefed the council, Orion's expression was one of cautious pride. "You have proven your capabilities, but we must remain vigilant. This is just the beginning." Andromeda nodded, but deep down, she felt a growing unease. Despite their victory, the shadow of dissent still loomed over their alliance. She knew that not all Tellarites supported their partnership with humans, and the whispers of betrayal had not faded. In the following weeks, as the Alliance continued to navigate the challenges of their joint efforts, Andromeda sensed a shift within the Tellarite Council. Some factions began to advocate for a more aggressive stance against humans, suggesting that they were taking advantage of the Alliance to gain strategic advantages. One evening, as she and Austin prepared for a council meeting, Andromeda voiced her concerns. "Austin, I fear there are factions within my people that want to sever our ties. They see our alliance as a threat, not a strength." Austin's expression darkened. "We cannot let them succeed. We need to strengthen our position, show them the benefits of collaboration. We've made great strides, but we can't afford to be complacent." During the council meeting, the atmosphere was tense. As Andromeda and Austin presented their latest findings on the alien faction, dissenting voices emerged from the crowd. "The humans are not to be trusted," one advisor stated boldly. "They've already proven their unpredictable nature. We must act before they turn on us." Andromeda stood, her voice steady yet filled with urgency. "That's precisely why we need to remain united. Our alliance is our strength against the threats we face. We cannot let fear dictate our actions." But the room erupted in heated debate, and Orion struggled to maintain order. As the arguments continued, Andromeda felt her heart sink. The cracks in their alliance were beginning to widen, and she knew they needed to find a way to bridge the divide. Later that evening, Andromeda and Austin returned to the gardens of the settlement, seeking solace among the stars. The beauty of their surroundings was a stark contrast to the turmoil they faced. "I thought we were building something meaningful," Andromeda said, her voice filled with frustration. "But it feels like the shadows of distrust are closing in on us." Austin squeezed her hand, offering comfort. "We knew it wouldn't be easy, but we've faced challenges before. We'll find a way to overcome this." As they gazed up at the stars, Andromeda felt a renewed sense of determination. They had fought for their alliance, and they would continue to do so. Together, they would not only protect their people, but also forge a path to a brighter future. But even as they planned their next steps, the specter of betrayal loomed ever closer. The threats they faced were not only from outside forces, but also from within. They needed to act swiftly if they were to secure the future of their alliance before it slipped through their fingers. And so, united in purpose, Andromeda and Austin prepared for the battles ahead. Their alliance would be tested, but together they would strive to overcome every obstacle, determined to prove that trust could be the foundation of their shared destiny. The gathering storm. The tension in the Tellarite Council reached a boiling point as factions openly challenged the alliance with humans. Dissenting voices grew louder, and Andromeda felt the weight of her responsibilities more than ever. She knew they needed to act quickly to unify their people before the fractures deepened. In a bold move, Andromeda proposed a grand summit, inviting representatives from all Tellarite factions and human leaders to discuss the alliance's future. "We must confront our fears and misunderstandings head-on," she urged. "Together, we can forge a stronger path forward." Austin supported her idea, emphasizing the importance of transparency. We need to show that our partnership brings benefits to both sides. If we stand together, we can silence the naysayers. As the summit date approached, tensions continued to simmer. Dissenters plotted in secret, seeking to undermine Andromeda and Austin's efforts. But the leaders pressed on, determined to demonstrate their unity. On the day of the summit, the atmosphere was electric. Representatives from both civilizations gathered in the Grand Hall, their faces a mix of hope and skepticism. Andromeda and Austin took the stage, their presence commanding attention. Today, we stand at a crossroads. Andromeda began, her voice steady. Our alliance has already brought us closer to each other. Together, we have faced threats and achieved victories, but we must also confront our doubts. Austin added, let's share our stories and successes. Let's build trust through open dialogue. As they spoke, the room filled with discussions, some supportive, others resistant, but with each shared story of collaboration and growth, the seeds of understanding began to take root. Yet, in the shadows, dissenters plotted their next move. Unbeknownst to the leaders, a group of Tellarate extremists was planning to disrupt the summit, determined to turn the tide against the alliance. As Andromeda and Austin continued their appeal for unity, the stage was set for a confrontation that would test their resolve and the very foundation of their alliance. The storm was gathering, and they were about to face their greatest challenge yet.